folks, welcome back. So I've had a little bit more time to work on my little Benchtop Pocket Hole Machine. You guys have heard them words before, haven't you? If you guys have been following. But, you know, the other one, it needed some changes. It was just kind of a prototype, or just the first, really my first attempt at a little pocket hole machine. And now I've really got this thing super tuned, and couldn't resist showing you guys a video. Just extremely happy with the way this thing is working. So a few things that I needed to address on, you know, this is the same basic unit here, but I changed the clamping mechanism and such. The biggest thing that needed addressed was, number one, it was clamping tight enough, but it wasn't overly powerful on the clamp. Number two, it needed some adjustment built into it, because, you know, it was kind of a nuisance to have to, you know, the thicker the material, the higher you had to lift up on the clamp. With this thing has the adjustment built right in, and I could go, I could change my setting of where the pocket hole came out in the material, but it was a little bit more of a nuisance because I had to take this apart and add a piece and move it back. If you guys have seen that video, and you know, it was doable, but again, it was a bit of a nuisance. So this machine addresses all that. So right now, you can see I've got this thing set up so that there's 3/4 of an inch between the fence and the bottom of the pocket hole, and the thickness is set for 3/4 of an inch. And I'll tell you, this thing is clamping just crazy tight. So the other thing that it cured too was the other machine. It was pretty hard. It wasn't crazy hard, but it was way harder than this one to open the clamp. This one, it literally takes just one finger. I can just, with one finger, I can open that clamp. And it's because of the configuration here, the clamping, or the pivot points are a lot more on the, it's set up so that it's going to give me more clamping power, and then it's going to be easier to open. So now I'm just going to have to open the clamp, slide my material in, and it's clamping it just crazy tight compared to the other one. The other one, you know, if I put a piece of material in there, I could wiggle it free, and if I was drilling, then, you know, I had to hold it nice and tight to be able to drill it. But with this one, it's holding it just crazy tight. And so now, I'm not going to drill in this video. So now if I wanted to drill 1.5 inch material, say I wanted to change this setting so that there was 1.5 inch between the fence, then all I've got to do is just to take these 2 screws, back them off. No, I'm not going to take it right out, because then it would create 2¼ inches, but I'm going to turn it sideways like this and screw it down this way. So I've got that block made so that it will go from 3/4 to 1.5 inches, which are the 2 most common settings. If I needed a different setting here, then I just have to cut a different width of a block or a different thickness of a block. But most of the time, if you're going to drill pocket holes, you're probably going to do, you know, either 2x4s or somewhere around 3/4 material, which would require a 3/4 inch setting. Now, to clamp that piece of material, all I'm going to have to do is just wind this up, which takes a second, but it doesn't take a whole bunch of time. Just wind this thing up. Then what I'm going to do is slide my material in there, and then what I've been doing is just bring that plunger down so that it clamps it tight, then open the clamp, give it another turn or 2, and then when it clamps, it's clamping it. Wind this little nut down there, I'm good to start drilling 1.5 inch material. And you can see when I set this in there, I can literally jerk the machine around like crazy. Like, it's got a hold of it now. And it's because of this pivot point. You can see that the hole in the end here is so close to the end of this lever that it's just rocking to clamp. And then these springs are on the end, so this lever extends way into there. Well, that's going to create such a pivot that just a little wee bit of pressure puts a crazy amount of pressure on the end, as you can see. And it's the same thing. It's real easy to open it as well because of the long action there. So, so pretty straightforward. A lot easier pieces too. If you guys have seen the other little benchtop rig, this one's a lot easier to make. They're just square pieces. I've got an angle cut here, but real easy to make. The pieces are all pretty much square with a little bit cut off them, and I kept that in mind when I was designing it. It's got to be made easy to build. So hopefully you guys had fun watching. Once I get a little bit more time, I'll tear this thing apart and we'll finish I'll show you guys, or give you guys, the sizes for this one and how it's assembled as well. So hopefully you guys will keep tuning in. Hopefully you had fun watching this one. And we'll see you next time.